Well, how about it, y'all? This is Daniel Nicholson with Nicholson Farms, and welcome back to another video. Today is going to be a huge day for the farm. We're going to be accomplishing, hopefully, a project that's been on the books for a long time. It's way overdue. It's going to save us a lot of time, and that is putting water lines in our pastures. I mentioned in a couple videos, or we mentioned in our 2023 goals, this was going to be one of the first things that we try to attack on the list, and we had all the materials for it. Today we're ready to go. We've got a ditch witch out here. My buddy's on the way now, and he's going to be running it while I put together pipe, and we're going to be putting it in the ground. The first strand is going to go. I already got it dug out right here. It's a little bit of water. That's how wet it is around here. When I dug that hole yesterday to find that pipe, I promise you I didn't nick the pipe. It's just that the ground is saturated so much right now. That hole filled up with water overnight. But our first strand is going to go straight through here. We're going to be teeing into this water line right here, and we're going to be going over to this fence where Mr. Clyde is standing, and we're going to be putting a spigot right there. That's going to help us water both this pasture that I'm standing in and the little pen that Clyde's in where I normally keep my bucks. We're moving our water trough out here to kind of control the muddy mess under this shed right here. We're going to be putting the water trough right here beside this brace post through the fence where there's access on both sides of the fence for the water. And whenever we add our lean-to on, we're going to be putting some fabric down all the way out here and putting gravel all the way through here to try to control this muddy mess. So this strand right here is only 80 foot. It shouldn't take but a minute. Let's walk up front before my buddy gets here, and I'll show you the plan up there. We've got a trailer full of pipe. We've been collecting pipe for about a year now. Bought the last 5 sticks this week, so we're ready to go. Most of this is 3/4 inch, but we got a couple sticks a 1/2 inch. I'll explain what we're going to do with those. So up here in front of my parents' house in our big pasture up front, I let the goats out already this morning on the neighbor's property, kind of shut the gate, so they're out of our way. But we have a water spigot right here already for this water trough, and actually our old steer brisket broke this pipe one day, and whenever I dug it up to fix it, I went ahead and put a stub on it. So all we're gonna have to do is cut that stub off that's down in the hole I dug earlier and tie into it, and from there we're gonna be going all the way to the fence over here. We're gonna be taking a turn and going all the way to the barn up there. It's about 500 foot of pipe. But the plan is we're going to cut across the pasture here, and then we're going to put 2 spigots on the fence line itself. I'll walk there and I'll show you real quick where they're going to be. First one is going to be right here in between these 2 T-posts. This is going to supply this little pasture right here where we normally have to haul water to, and also, you know, the pasture that we're standing in now where we already have a water trough. But this is just going to give us more access. We're going to be coming straight across the pasture here, going here, and then making a turn and going straight up the fence line. Up the fence line here about 200 foot. We're going to be putting another one, and this is going to supply this pasture right here with water, another pasture that we normally have to haul water to. And we're going to be adding a cross fence pretty soon, basically from where this gate is over to this live oak tree. Dividing this pasture in half, and it'll give this pasture right here access to water. On up here by the barn, it's about another 120 foot or so. We're going to be going all the way to the barn. That way, whenever we lock up animals up here, we have access to water to fill up small buckets and whatnot. But we're going to be going to this post right here and putting in a spigot as well. Back here where I have this flag, we're going to be teeing off of the 3/4 inch line with 1/2 inch, and we're going to be going straight across the front of our pig pens. The plan is to go right at about 100 foot. This pasture's 200 foot wide, so halfway is going to be where this orange flag is right here. We're going to be putting a box in the ground. We're not going to have a riser with the spigot actually out of the ground, but we're going to be digging a hole right here, putting the spigot in the ground, in a box where the horses or nothing can step in the hole. But basically here I can just hook up a water hose, and as I'm moving my pigs through these little pens, I'll have access with a water hose to give them all water. This is gonna save us a ton of time in the afternoons taking care of the animals, not having to fill up a tank, hauling it to the pigs or hauling it to the goats or the horses or whatever. We're gonna have water pretty much all the way across the farm that we can tap into and at least get a water hose where we need to go. I am kind of worried about the pressure being so far away from our well, but honestly, I don't need a lot of flow. All I need is something that can keep a water tank full, and honestly, just a little bit more than a drip will be more than enough to do that with the amount of animals we have. So it's going to be very beneficial. Another thing is we're not going to be driving through our pastures all the time hauling water. That's going to help out with our compaction a whole lot. If you look right behind me, this is where we have to drive all the time to water the pigs, and there's no grass growing where those tires go. Even during the summer, you can visually see where we drive all the time. So it's going to help hopefully grow some more forage as well. My buddy Ryan just pulled up, so I guess let's cut some water off and get started on this project.
to dig it down for me? No. Oh yeah, you need a couple. No, it should be pretty cool. Hell don't want to go. What the hell? That must be a, I bet that's a 1 inch. What does it say on there?
Yeah, it's the inside of 1 inch. Oh, I got it. One come short later.
Well, I mean, you can do a 1 inch to 3/4. That's a 1 inch.
I got it.
You have 1/2 inch to.
I've got a 1/2 inch, 3/4. We bought some new ones.
Oh.
But I think we're going to be short later on.
So now you're going to make this a little short.
Now we got a 1/2 inch pipe, 1/2 inch 90 coming off, a little 1/2 inch stub. Gonna put a coupling on and convert it down to a 1/2 inch. And we're gonna let this sit up for a little while. We're gonna go ahead and start digging the other trenches first, get that pipe done, and let all this glue sit up really good. We're kind of worried about where we teed in down there, if it's gonna be strong enough. So we wanna give it some time to make sure that it sets up good. Just like that, we've got a spigot. Put a little dirt in there and make sure it holds where it needs to be until it sets up. We're gonna run up to the front and get started on the big stretch of water line we've got up there. While Ryan's digging the trench, we're gonna go ahead and tie in here. I'm gonna start putting some pipe together. We can only go so far because we're gonna have to come back and cut back towards the fence, but we'll get as much laid in as we can. We're just gonna cut our pipe here, clean it up a little bit, glue it together, and we're off to the races. officially tied in. From here, I'm just gonna try to catch up to behind them, putting some pipe together. We don't have to do it all at one time. Well, we almost have all our main line ran. Ryan's about to tie back into where we were digging earlier. We turned the machine around to try to get up to this post, but it is so wet in here. We're spinning tires on the ditch witch. So I think what we're gonna do is just mount our spigot right here. Either way, whether it was there or here, I was gonna have to run a water hose or put a water hose up here. So we're just gonna dig straight over right here to this post. We can secure it to that post. We've got one spigot already installed down there, and most of the pipe ran. Whenever he ties this line into where we were digging earlier, we'll go ahead, run the rest of the pipe, put our other spigot in, and then we're gonna start going across the front of the pig pen. And we're done. Let's go cut her on, see if it leaks. Well, it's official. We have water at the pig pen now. Just gotta cover up all these lines now. Well, it's official. We officially have water lines in our pastures now. It's the next day. Yesterday afternoon, after we got done, me and my buddy Ryan and Tanner ended up catching up the goats and warming them and just hanging out until about dark. But we finished up everything in about 5-6 hours. It wasn't too bad. Got about 700 foot of water line put in. We got the back done. We got our spigot back there running good. We've got 2 on this fence right here. One behind me at the barn. And then we've got one down about halfway in front of the pig pen that's going to allow us to use the water. I actually am kind of surprised at the amount of pressure we have up here. It's not a ton. We're not going to be running any pressure washer or washing any vehicles up here or anything. But there's definitely enough pressure up here to fill up some water tanks. We're going to be running floats on most of our water tanks anyways. So as long as we have a trickle, that's just good enough for us. We still need to purchase some water tanks. We need to purchase some cloth and some gravel so we can put our tanks in between our fence. But that'll be a whole nother project for another day. But we're super excited to have water lines in the pasture now. This is gonna save us so much time in the afternoons, being able to just come up here and cut a valve on, especially when we get all our float valves hooked up. But I really appreciate you hanging out with us in this video. I told you the other day whenever we made our 2023 goals, this was going to be the first thing that we attacked this year. So we're off to a good start, knocking down that list. So hopefully we continue on this path and then get a lot of stuff done this year. But I really appreciate you hanging out with us. If you haven't already, please hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, hit the notification bell, leave us a comment, and we'll see y'all on the next one.